You're listening to Warrior Talk with Heather Thomas Van Deren and Brant Fricker. Get inspired. Be empowered. Warrior Talk.
All right. So, everybody, welcome to another Warrior Talk. Get inspired, be empowered. That's what we're about. I am your co host, Heather Thomas Van Deren, in case you didn't know. And of course, everybody knows my illustrious co host, Brett Fricker.
Illustrious. I'm feeling very illustrious today. I feel like Steve McQueen with my little gun strap here and doing some
Right.
training today. And yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's good to be with you,
And,
Heather.
and you can just call me Annie, get your gun.
Yeah, and Lord knows that you're a good shooter, so that's really good. But you know what? We're great to we're glad. It's great to be with everybody and seeing
Yeah.
everyone jumping on and your time's important. We've never said, okay, let's wait for more people to jump on because your time is important. And no
Hmm.
shame or blame for those who do that, but if you took the time to click, we're talking to you right now, and we're so happy that you're with us. Good morning, Sheldon Stewart and Warriors from the Aeroplane Factory. There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
he's been working on his airplanes a lot lately. That's one of
Yeah.
his favorite pastimes. So hey
Excellent.
Shelton, how's it going?
Excellent. All
Yeah.
right. All right. Well, it's
Yeah,
it's good to be
I
alive
tell
today.
it is. Last week we chose not to have a Warrior Talk show last week because the music industry in the Christian country, indie music industry especially, lost a really great guy named David House. He was a good friend of mine.
Mm,
And so we chose just to take that day off to just give him honor. And there's been other things going on, of course, everybody, and unless you live under a rock,
hmm
you're aware of the tragedy and the horrible assassination of Charlie Kirk. But have you seen his warrior woman rise up from the ashes
hmm
and declare war on Satan, on evil.
Yeah.
And so actually, I think we're in revival, Brant,
hmm
for
Who
all
who
of
would have
those that will
thought?
get on board.
Who would have thought we would experience a revival when
Yeah,
war has been declared and blood has been shed?
yeah,
It's interesting times, and these are the days we reckon.
really is.
And some of
You
us have
know,
been talking about this for decades. And we're not
yes.
surprised. Whole reason why we started Warrior Talk. We wanted to ready the warriors. That was a mandate given years ago,
Hmm.
decades ago. And so
Yeah.
we're in this. But all
Yeah.
that
And
said,
I'm thankful that God drew us together and
mhm,
allowed me to partner with you, Brant, because this has been a wonderful ride. It's been working on our third year. And who would have
wow,
thought that? It's
right,
crazy. Yeah. But
right.
it's so good. Very good. Yes.
It is good. And it's also very necessary to evaluate who you surround yourself with. A lot of
For
people had,
real.
had a wake up call because they discovered that people in their circle were evil, were cheering on the murder of this man and
Yeah.
the tragedy. And so some of you have had to thin your herd online. I've talked to people, very successful people, who have had to let go of some friendships because of the horror of evil and hate that they saw that was lurking right there in their own circle. And that's why it's
Mm.
very, very important. Show me your friends and I'll show you who you'll be. And
Oh,
that's
yeah.
very, very important. But well, all that to say is the company we keep, we've got to be wise, don't we?
We really do. And like you said, sometimes there's a sifting that takes place. Sometimes it happens naturally, and sometimes we're forced to make that happen because you can't be unequally yoked
Uh,
with people that are going against everything that you live for. And that's Jesus Christ, and that's goodness and life and mercy and peace and all of those things that God brings to us. And when they're against those things, it to me it's a no-brainer. It's like I don't even know why you're in my life. You can pray for those people, but keep them at arm's distance. My mama, I was a ringtail tutor when I was a preteen and a young teenager, and I have quite a testimony. But she used to say, I would come home from being out causing trouble, and I would come home and she could go, "You were with so and so, weren't you?"
Hmm.
And I'm like, "Yeah." So, I was a little smart aleck, and she goes, "Well, I can always tell who you've been hanging out with."
Uh-huh.
And there is so much truth to that. We do not realize the people that we hang out with, we can pick up both their good attributes and their bad attributes just by hanging out with them on a regular basis. So we have to be selective. Are these people going to bring harmony and good things into your life, or are they going to pull you down and make you less of the creation that God intended you to be? So, check your list, guys.
Hmm.
We talk about keep your circle small. We have an episode about that very topic, but we talk about it
Yeah.
all the time because it's that relevant. Keep your circle small, guys, and know who your real friends are.
Very important. Proverbs 13:20, keep company with the wise. You will become
Yeah.
wise. If you make friends with stupid people, you'll become ruined. That's a good news
Yeah.
translation. Or what does
Yeah.
First Corinthians 15:33 say?
Yeah. And well, I would say everybody knows this, but bad company corrupts good morals, but also you can exchange that word morals with character.
Hmm. Hmm.
Bad company corrupts good character. Character is one of the most important things that a follower of Christ needs to be exhibiting because people are watching us, y'all.
Hmm.
And we need to be that shining light that somebody says, there's something different about her, or there's something different about him. I wonder why. Because if you can't tell us apart from the world, there's a problem.
Yeah, and that's been my prayer, that as people flood the churches, that it's not like 9/11 where they saw no difference. They just walked right back out.
Yeah.
I prayed that they're seeing a difference. I have a relative that quit her church because her pastor acknowledged the death of Charlie Kirk. And that's how hardened of a heart she has. And what a shame. What a shame,
Mm,
But you have to watch who you break bread with. You love
yeah.
everyone. Jesus.
Right.
People forget Jesus was the hardest on the religious and the Pharisees than he was the world. He ate with the
Mhm.
world. But those Pharisees who were extorting people, who
Mhm.
were exclusatory in terms of putting position above calling. If you're called to ministry, you are the servant of all, and you're no better than anybody else. However, you have a stricter judgment than everybody else. So
Exactly.
love everybody, but be wise. Be wise to those who are wolves in sheep's clothing. And I've had to distance myself from people who claim to be ministers, turned out to be shysters, and
Uh, yeah.
wolves in sheep's clothing. And I don't go around talking about them, but if someone asks me, I will tell them the truth. But the company we keep, you got to choose them wisely. You know what? Remember who your real friends are. They may be one of
Mhm.
the biggest keys in your success in life. Heather, there's
That's
people in our lives that are assets and they're liabilities. An asset
yeah.
adds to you. An asset adds to you. A
Mm-hmm.
liability takes from you. A liability will diminish now. I'm not saying only have relationships where only you benefit. A
Yeah.
relationship requires relating.
Oh, yeah.
Have you ever been in a one-sided relationship where you're the only one that makes the effort? Well,
Yeah.
it's not a relationship, and that's not an asset to you. That's a liability. It takes away from you. But an asset and an asset contribute to each other. And
Mm-hmm.
and that's why good company makes you better. They lift you up. They
Yeah.
don't tear you down. They don't
Right.
run when trouble comes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Brent, I have something I want to thank you publicly for. Um, you know, so sometimes you get in a crunch and a bind and you're not exactly sure what to do. And so one of the best things that you can do is turn to someone that you know has got your back.
Mm.
And Brent, something kind of similar to that happened yesterday. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail, but boy, howdy, you 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 jumped into action. I tell you what, and yeah, I don't know. There's my property was breached.
Yeah.
And so it caused a lot of chaos and a lot of, scrambling and everything. And you didn't waste any time. You didn't even wait for me to answer the phone.
Well, I was trying
Go
to
ahead,
reach you. I'm what 8 hours away or something, or good
right?
Lord, yeah.
Yeah, but that your small circle can be 8 hours away. You know, distance can be closed in an instant when you
Mhm.
need somebody.
Yeah.
And that's your small circle. They don't have to be next door and always there and able uh, to come to your aid at any moment physically. They don't have to,
Oh.
but you just knowing that you've got people in that circle that have your back. And Brent, I just want to thank you. I want to thank you for jumping into action and doing everything that you could. And I got a call from the police department, guys. And the officer was standing there, and they're like, there's this person named Brent Fricker from Arkansas,
Uh-huh. Yeah, yeah.
and he's on the phone with us right now. And we're like, okay, that's fine. Oh, come just a minute. But that is so awesome. You don't know how good that made me feel.
Uh-huh. Well, I
Yeah,
tell you what, sister, we got to look out for each other and
you,
utilize common sense,
yeah,
utilize what we have at our disposal, you know. Uh,
absolutely,
but yeah,
absolutely. And you
yeah,
have to know how to discern. That's another thing about keeping the company that you keep. You have to know how to discern. And there's some people that go, "Oh, I don't have very good discernment." Well, then you know what? Ask for it.
ask for it.
God will give it to you liberally,
He will.
and He will, and He does.
Well,
And
yeah, yeah. Well,
go
you have
ahead.
to know how to discern, you know.
Yeah,
You have to know
that's
how
a
to
big part of it.
discern and discern the times.
Hmm.
We live in dark times. There is a revival, but it was kicked off by an assassination and an
Yeah,
unofficial civil war. If
that's
you
right.
you can pretend we're not at war, but your enemies aren't
Hmm.
pretending. So
Exactly.
that's why I want to live an example. I have the Word of God by my side as I work, but I also have Rufus with me too, and I'm always ready. And so
Yeah.
do not be ignorant of the enemy's schemes. You don't have to live in fear. I'm not prepared because I'm fearful. I'm prepared because I'm fearless. And
Hmm.
and I encourage every one of you, whether you like it or not, you're a soldier now, whether you
That's
like it or
right.
not. So when you send those babies out the door, when you walk out that door, you have to understand we are at war. Now, we've been at war for a very long time, but now so much has been made known. So many conspiracies have been proven, and so we could talk for years about that. But it's just important that we have discernment of the times, and that's why you keep your circle small. I know criminals. I know how they think. I worked with them. Okay, not as a criminal, but I have worked with young people that were just too young to go to prison, murderers, thieves, all that. I learned how they think, and it would horrify you how easy it is to hurt you, folks. So be
Hmm.
warriors in your heart. Keep the word of God and your sword at your side, and then also do what you need to do to protect your family without any kind of regret. But we're talking about Christian friends here, real
Hmm.
Jesus followers. Uh, it,
That's right.
be careful. Don't be unequally yoked. A lot of people misquote that. Yeah, they're unequally yoked. What does that mean? Is that eggs? Or what does that mean? Well, a yoke. Jesus said, "My yoke is easy, my burden is light." right? A yoke, and you know this because you're a rancher, but a
No, it's yoke, Y-O-K-E.
yoke. Sorry, I need more warrior talk. A yoke is a piece of metal or a piece of wood that
Mhm.
keeps you going in the same direction. That's what a yoke is.
Yeah,
Okay, so people think the yoke is the burden. No, it's the guide. It keeps you in the well. If your friends are not going in the same direction as you, then they're gonna. It's easier to pull you off course than for you to keep them aright, and
yeah,
that includes missionary dating too, folks. Been there,
true.
done that. So who
Yeah.
are you yoked with, and are they going in the same direction as
Hmm.
you? We've all gotten involved with people like that before, haven't we, Heather?
Well, yeah, we really have. And, and sometimes it doesn't have a very good ending because simply you let it go on too long.
Yeah,
And, then other folks have to step in and if you're a woman and, we were talking about that as well as carrying arms and stuff, circumstances of danger and disasters when you are unequally yoked with people and you allow them into your small circle and they don't belong there, it really can be a disaster. And for women, sometimes it has to be handled completely different than it would be for a guy. There's just that's just the facts and just the way it is. And sometimes other people have to step in on your behalf to cut to the chase and let it be known. I'm talking about other people in your small circle
yeah,
to let it be known, cease and desist.
yeah.
And, because you got to be, it's like, I think we should interview people for our small circle. I
Have
just,
tryouts.
I,
You're a little pitchy on on your delivery of sincerity there. You know.
oh,
But
yeah.
but you bring up a good point though, ladies. Don't be afraid to be like Simon Cowell of American Idol. A lot of people thought he was mean. He was honest. And he was
Yeah,
very frustrated when people would lie to someone, telling them they had talent when they didn't. I think maybe
yeah,
somewhere in his history, he thought that he had talent. Someone lied to him and he really
yeah.
got embarrassed. It crushed him. So he became a talent scout, but he wants to be very honest with people but don't be afraid of being rude. If you need to be, someone comes up to you and your child, don't be afraid of being unpleasant, because it's the nice ones you got to worry about too. So, what I
Mm,
mean, I was in Hot Springs and I saw one of the most famous female rock stars of our time. I saw her in Hot Springs and she was with her child and she knew that I recognized her. She had such a horrified look on her face. And immediately I respected that. I said, it's okay. I'm not going to bother you. You know, so the right people will respect your boundaries and not approach you in public if they don't know you. And if they do, understanding the times, uh, you know, gentlemen, be careful how you approach women. And
mm,
and women, be careful about how you're approached. It's not uncommon for a woman in distress to approach you in a Walmart parking lot to lead you over to a car you don't want to be in.
mm,
So these are times to be discerning, and to watch the company you keep, even in public, and but also interpersonally too. Um, do your friends engage in fairness when there's a difference of opinion? Boy, we saw murder as a difference of opinion. They're more
uh,
worked up about a pedophile commie being kicked off of a news network or a TV network than they are the massacre of a family man. These are
mhm.
animals.
Yeah.
The cancer to humanity, this Luciferian child woman predator spirit, depopulationist, that are being battled all over the world now. Yet what happened sparked a revival in America, and it's spreading across the world. But you have to be careful with the company that you keep. Because do we not want harmony in our relationships, Heather?
We want harmony, but we also don't expect people to always agree with us. Sometimes we have people in our small circle that are there to teach us, to help us
Yeah,
grow, to make us better human beings, better Christians.
right.
And so the true friends in our small circle are not always going to agree with us. Now, and Brent and I were talking about this yesterday. Y'all remember those bobblehead dolls back in the, I don't remember what decade it was, but they had them on the back of their dashboards and and stuff like that in their
Wow.
cars. Oh, I don't know, but I always wanted one. But here's the thing: I always wanted the German Shepherd bobblehead doll. I said there was a German Shepherd. Is that and his little head would just bobble. But you know what? Sometimes you have friends like that. They just nod their head all the time to everything you say, like a dashboard dog. I mean, that's friend. A real friend is not going to be agreeable with you all the time. Sometimes those type of people, they're afraid they're going to offend you because they're afraid that there's something that they're getting from you that would no longer exist.
Mhm.
You know, they're using you for something.
Right.
Real friends are going to call you on the carpet when they see that you're in the wrong about something, and
Yeah.
they're going to help grow you and make you a better human being. And that's, just
It's iron
avoid.
sharpening iron is
Yes,
what it is.
it certainly is. Yeah, that old saying, you can't be sharp when you're hanging out with butter knife people. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. You can't.
Well,
Uh,
we're called to a higher standard. We can love everybody, but we have to trust God. You
that's the
know,
truth.
and so who is your small circle, folks? Who are the people
Yeah.
that Hey, I went through something that it rocked my world. I thought I had discernment. I took the offense of somebody that was wrong to do. Turned out they turned out to be a total liar, shyster, even to me.
Mhm.
And so I had to make a change and trust that someday the people that are still falling for it will come to wisdom as well. But it's not my job to go around defaming anybody. But for me,
Yeah.
I had to learn a hard lesson. I wasn't as diligent as I should have been with my inner circle, and usually that's revealed during hard times. But also it doesn't have to be a change just because there's a problem. Sometimes there's changes in seasons, right? Sometimes there's people that are in your life for a season. I don't regret the good that came out of that relationship. So
Mm-mm.
I want to choose to love from afar and to appreciate the season of the good
Mhm.
things that came out of that, but it's really important to love our circle, isn't it?
It is, and the seasons are okay. It's okay to have seasonal friends. Sometimes, like Paul and Barnabas, I would call them seasonal friends. They accomplished a lot when they were on the missionary journey, and they came to a point where it was just time. It was just time to spread ways. And sometimes that happens, and it's okay because sometimes people are sent into your life to be there for you for a certain
Right.
time, or vice versa. We have to remember that we are to love other people no matter what, even, and it can be from a distance, and that's okay. But our small circle does change. And sometimes it gets so small, you wonder what in the world is going on. My circle's getting so tiny. But
Yeah.
you have to trust that God is God, that He spins the world on its axis. Do you think that He can't handle your small circle?
He can. And there are times that God wants us to make transitions that we would
Yeah.
never make until we had to. So,
Mhm.
just like Satan entered Judas, or God hardened Pharaoh's heart. Is it possible God can harden the heart of someone in your circle towards you because you need to make a change? Or because that season is over, or because there's no way you'd let go unless that happened, or unless it was revealed. People,
Yeah.
people are people. People do what works for them until it doesn't work anymore, and that's just human nature. So understand people, and there's seasons for everything. There are seasons for everything, and that's why it's so important, when you're doing life together, or whether it's acquaintances, maybe it's just Christian business ventures. Maybe a client of yours is not supposed to be your friend. They're supposed to be your client. and
Exactly.
you have to separate the friend from business as well.
Hmm.
You know, I mean, hey, from where I came from, if you saw a fish on the sign, you run because they're going to mess you around. You know, I came from a place where people use the cross and the fish. They didn't act like it, and so you have to be able to discern that as well. But what would you
Hmm.
say is the difference between friends that are supposed to be friends and business and acquaintances who are supposed to remain acquaintances?
Well, you have to know the difference, and the discernment comes right back in there again.
Yeah,
There are people that are supposed to be in your circle, and there are people that are supposed to be friends, but outside your circle. They can still be your friends, but they're not in your small circle, and that's okay too. It's good to have friends in all walks of life, and then you get a little further out, like you said, and it's always good to be, we were talking about the scripture about not to be unequally yoked. When I was a young person, maybe a newlywed, I don't remember exactly, but that scripture was heavily, heavily geared towards marriage. And
right.
it wasn't until years later that I started realizing that that scripture is so much further reaching. It's friendships, it's business partners. Whenever possible, we're supposed to be in the world, not of the world.
Mhm.
So, whenever possible, we are supposed to associate with other believers. But, we can't be evangelical if we're only associating with believers. We've got to exercise the Great Commission, because that's one thing that's I think, lacking in the world right now. And
Mhm.
that's why evil is progressing faster than Jesus followers. And, I hope this revival is true and lasting. I think it will be. And I'm anxious to see it spread. And I want to be a part of it, guys. I hope you want to be a part of it too.
Right.
But sorry, I got on my soapbox a little bit there.
No, but it's true. You know, I did a post the other day, and Lord knows how shy I am on social media.
Oh, yes.
But basically, it kind of explains where I'm coming from, where I've been coming from since I was a boy. Sparing your feelings while trying to save your life is not always feasible.
Yeah.
You know, we who are watchmen on the wall, who have been uh, for a long time, we don't have all the friends in the world, and now we can have a lot of acquaintances and love everybody. But
Right.
when it comes to telling the truth, we've always told the truth, Heather. We've always shot straight because we care about you folks. You know, you don't see a big give button at the bottom and we're divulging our wisdom, you know, and you're lucky to hear it. So give us money. No, we don't do that. Now, it's nice if you help. It takes time and
Yeah.
money to do what we do, but
Right.
we've never been driven by that. We've been driven because we out of love. We wanted to sound the alarm, and we are watching on the wall. A lot of things that have happened, we were talking about a few years ago.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
so but we're plugged in. You know, you can have a pretty light fixture and it doesn't work unless it's plugged into the source. That's why we're plugged into the source. We're plugged into the Lord. And
Amen.
you need to be plugged into the source and pay attention to who all is plugged into your multi-plug. You ever see those multi-plugs? So many of them, it's a fire hazard. Maybe you need to
Yes.
take some out, folks. Maybe some of those plugs you know, are not for you. Maybe there's a short in some of them; they'll burn your house down. So have discernment in who the company that you keep, and walk in harmony in the flow of the Lord. Sound good?
Sounds great. And we have to let God order our steps, even when it comes to taking some of those outlets away.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, I mean, sometimes we need to use our brain for one thing, in everything that we do, but we have to rely upon God to order our steps. And I heard a saying the other day, and I thought it was really good. And it says, "Let nothing come between you and God, and let God come between you and everything."
Wow. Say that again.
Let nothing come between you and God, and let God come between you and everything.
Yeah,
And boy, I thought,
I
wow,
love it.
that's phenomenal because that's really the bottom line, isn't it, guys? It's the
He,
bottom line.
yeah, he's the breath in our lungs, and in him we live and move and have our being.
Yep.
And Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. And so
Hmm.
it's just so thrilling, Heather, to have the freedom we have, and we use our freedoms. Use your freedoms while you have them.
Yeah, that's right.
Don't take them for granted. We've already exceeded our recording time, which is right, which is great. Man, I love that. I love the cover you have on your Facebook page, the knights on the
Oh,
horses.
yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't that
I
awesome?
love that.
Hmm.
You
I
know,
think that's going to
yeah,
be there a while.
yeah, yeah. So folks, be wise. My dad-in-law, who's an amazing pastor. He every time I leave for out of town, he says, "Be wise, be
Mm.
wise, be aware of your surroundings,
Yeah,
be aware of the company you keep,
yeah,
have your head on a swivel, not because you're afraid, but because you're prepared.
that's right.
And if you're able to, as soon as you can, take care of what you need to take care of who you need to take care of with your family and your
Amen.
friends, and do it without fear or regret.
That's
Uh,
right.
we're at war. So,
We
and you
are.
are warriors. This doesn't make it go away. So be strong in
Mhm.
the Lord, the power of his might. Put on the full armor of
Amen.
God, and also do the practical things too. You know,
Yeah.
uh, uh,
Well,
yeah. In some ways, we're rebuilding our country, and the sand ballots of the world, the haters, the saboteurs, don't have anything to do with them. Don't be yoked with them, and
mm,
work with your sword and your gun at your side. And doesn't mean you're violent, just means you're smart.
yeah,
So
and
we love you,
prepared.
and we're in this
We do.
together. And
Yeah.
what a great one! What a great warrior talk, Heather.
Thank
Yeah,
you. Thank you guys for tuning in. We love you and we'll see you next week.
love you.